Okay, coming up next, we have Blade with Frosty the Snowman.
Don't you just love the World Wide Web? A place where people can share and discuss anything that piques their interest, whether that be cat videos or the ethics behind a real life circumstance. The internet has a multitude of uses that allow its users to communicate in a way that's never been seen before. However, with this in mind, we also need to be aware of the many consequences that this brings about, including hate speech and isolation. When the internet was first introduced in the 1980s, people immediately began thinking that this tool would revolutionize communication forever. And while not incorrect in their assessment, what people back then may have failed to consider was how instantaneous and non-committal communication could serve to be an actual detriment to mankind and human relation. It seems what we could not recognize during the early days of the internet was the derealization that virtual communication could cause. This, partnered with the overexposure to harmful ideas and the ability to speak freely to strangers behind a screen and dehumanize their existence in our minds, allowed for the internet to become a place of animosity and isolation. Now look, as effortlessly wise and forward-thinking and humble as I am, I must admit, I wasn't the first person to notice this disparity between in-person communication and the supposedly superior online communication. In fact, intellectuals have been discussing this subject for years, and of the variety of essays I've read regarding this topic, I thought that scholars Agustín Fuentes and Sherry Turkle, in their respective articles, "Are We Really as Awful as We Act Online?" and "Stop Googling, Let's Talk," presented arguments that could be comparatively analyzed extensively. So today, let's get into the internet, its vices, and which author was able to more effectively convey how distorted it has made communication. When we're discussing the internet and its reign on all of modern society, it is difficult to dispute the fact that it provides us with endless power to revolutionize many facets of our everyday lives. However, this isn't a notion that Turkle and Fuentes attempt to argue against. In fact, it almost serves as a framework for the two to present their anti-internet arguments. Technology has evolved a lot faster than we humans have, and it is through this axiom that Turkle and Fuentes highlight the misuse of this powerful tool called the internet. Before moving any further, we obviously need to understand the content of both articles. In Stop Googling, Let's Talk, Sherry Turkle is trying to convey one underlying non-controversial message, that we really need to be mindful of the consequences technology can have on us, as well as just being mindful of how it's impacting socialization in general. Now, to convey this, she utilizes a lot of statistics and anecdotes, including a statistic from Pew Research Center, stating that 82% of adults felt that the way they were using technology and their phones in social settings hurt the conversation. These statistics that she references very obviously circle back to the main focal point of her article. In fact, it's in the article's title itself. We would all greatly benefit from just setting our phones down and having face-to-face conversations, the authentic way. On the other hand, Fuentes takes a bit of a different approach to his article. Because Fuentes presents his article as more of an evaluation of human psychology and behavior in relation to online communication, he's a lot less dependent on hard statistics and data. Instead, he uses examples as almost a sort of commentary to analyze the state of humanity and its place on the web. For instance, the scholar specifically recounts an anonymous Twitter user idolizing the person who murdered Martin Luther King Jr. Now, the anonymous tweet stated, "R.I.P. James Earl Ray, a true fighter for the white race." These morally repugnant expressions on the internet, whether authentic or not, should be a clear sign that the internet is obviously a place for people to feel the security they want, to express the ideas they feel in their head. And this can be used to spread hatred or can be used to spread empathy, as conveyed by Agustín Fuentes. After reading the two articles, I couldn't help but be reminded of this quote from Friedrich Nietzsche that reads, "To escape boredom, man either works beyond what his usual need requires, or else he invents play. That is, work that is designed to quiet no need other than that for working in general." Now, Nietzsche definitely wasn't referring to the internet with this quote.
Obviously.
But the same principles can be applied. We as humans have a tendency to desire an excess of what we require, or a more grandiose way to fulfill our desires, which is almost what the basis of these two articles is built around. Turkle and Fuentes are indirectly asking us as readers to evaluate whether the convenience and extravagance of digital communication is worth the trouble. Another thing that these two authors do particularly well is implement the rhetorical appeal of logos, or logic, into their essays. Professor Fuentes spends the beginning of his article introducing a prevalent issue, online hatred. Once this problem is established, Fuentes then goes on to evaluate what is causing the problem to occur, and coherently diagnoses internet over-reliance to be the root factor. He states, "Historically, we have maintained harmony by displaying compassion. Anonymity and lack of face-to-face interaction on social media platforms removes a crucial part of the equation of human sociality." Statements such as this one work to rationally identify social media as an empathy killer. Turkle uses logical reasoning when she explains why offline conversation is more favorable, emphasizing that in spontaneous, real-life conversation, where we learn to make eye contact, to become aware of another person's posture and tone, to comfort one another and respectfully challenge one another, empathy and intimacy flourish. Although I could go on about what the authors do effectively all day, we'd have to discuss where the articles diverge, and I believe this is primarily in the categories of specificity and nuance, as somewhat foreshadowed in the synopses of the two articles. Synopses is the real word? I hate that. Professor Turkle brings up excellent points and backs up her idea as well. Her statements are factually correct. True! I have no issues with the general claim that Turkle is conveying. However, her article almost feels like it lacks depth. Readers can already grasp the concept of excessive internet usage being bad, and at best, "Stop Googling, let's talk" serves as a reminder to practice real-life conversations. What could be less obvious to the average reader, however, is the ways that technology manipulates our minds to be more hostile, while giving us more reason to do so. Fuentes revealing how the rapid advancement of technology has clashed with human nature provided a new layer to the discussion on technology, and he even incorporates elements of behavioral psychology when he writes, "Our brains and bodies constantly undergo subtle changes, so that how we perceive the world plays off of, and maps to, the patterns of those people and places we see as most connected to us." It is apparent that through his commentary on how the internet has been a tool exploited to spread hate, as well as a means to spread progressive ideas, as well as the psychology facet that he introduces throughout the essay, Professor Fuentes is not only warning us to be cautious when approaching the web, but also encouraging humanity to have a positive impact on the world through their internet usage, and he does such in a comprehensive and nuanced way. So, despite the authors having equally convincing arguments, Fuentes' "Are we really as awful as we act online?" proved to be the more compelling article due to its multifaceted ideas and perspectives that invoke a sense of urgency and critical analysis in its readers. In this hyper-digital age, it is crucial for people to view one another with empathy and compassion online, rather than spreading animosity through the safety of anonymity. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. If you would like more information on how this video was produced, you can check out the description down below. If not, I'll see you next week for when we discuss why orcas are the strongest member of the animal kingdom.